All right, let's get right into it. So, hello and welcome to the Agency Growth Initiative, where we dive into the minds of marketing leaders and explore the topics of the day. I'm Jim Liu, CEO of SEO Vendor, and today we have a very special guest with us, somebody who has made a significant impact in the world of white label marketing. I'm honored to welcome Shaun Clark, the CEO and co-founder of HighLevel, and I look forward to hearing his insights today. Shaun, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you here. Just so that before we dive into the heart of the conversation, could you tell us about your journey to becoming the CEO of HighLevel and what inspired you to take on this role?
Yeah, sure. So I had a prior software company in the invoice reminder space, which I think is technically called accounts receivable. It's like super boring, but it's just helping businesses collect money that's past due. And I met a lot of small businesses in that journey, and I got to about 1,000 customers. And I sort of got to a point where I sort of ran out of gas on new features for that business, and I started asking, what other problems could be solved. And every business said that they really wanted to get more customers. And so originally we started HighLevel 1.0, and really it was this idea of like, how can we help small businesses get more customers? But we very quickly ran into this idea or this fact that no matter what we built, the small business owners didn't have the time to actually implement that. And so what was great about that sort of process was we luckily for us discovered that the true secret to success there was actually working with agencies to help actually take that technology and deploy it out to the SMB, and in many cases help them run it and train them and so forth and so on. And so truly that was kind of how we got to where we are today, which is this idea that you don't sell directly to the SMB, you really sell to somebody who has the time, energy, and honestly expertise to help them really truly take this technology and make it work in their business.
Well, that's, just absolutely amazing. I mean, I think it's really clear too, Shaun, that from your leadership, it's been very instrumental in helping to guide HighLevel to where it is today.
Oh, I think we just had a lot of good luck.
yeah, you're definitely gonna, need that as well. But now we're gonna get into sort of our main topic here, which is one that's going to be very crucial to any business that's going to be successful, and that's client retention. And
Sure.
client retention is, often considered vital to a successful business. But in your opinion, why is client retention so important? And can you tell us maybe a little bit about, how does it impact the health of a company?
Sure. I mean, client retention, I think, is traditionally thought of, I think, depending on your business, right? But we're pushing towards a recurring revenue model businesses these days, and so it becomes incredibly important because client retention just means you get paid the next month, right? And so it's not about pay, obviously client retention was always good because even if you sell one time, you kind of want people to mention you to their friends and family, and not have a bad experience and all that. But it becomes even way more critical because in a recurring revenue business, you're sort of looking at what we call LTV or lifetime value, and you're trying to say, okay, well, how do I maximize that the amount of money I will get paid over the lifetime of that customer? And there'll be some conceivable reasonable end to that customer relationship, even if it could be because the business goes out of business. But the reality is you're never going to get to that LTV if client retention is not the foremost on your mind. So really it's about, continuing to keep the lights on is why you should care about client retention.
Yeah, precisely. And I mean, definitely retaining clients can be challenging as well, especially in a very competitive market. What are some of the top challenges you think you have faced when it comes to retaining clients?
Well, for us, it could be different than other businesses. I mean, for us, it's really about adoption. So, I mean, you have to have a great product, and I think we have an awesome product. But if you come in the door and it doesn't matter how hard you work at making it easy and help docs and so forth and so on, we find that the human element really makes the difference. So for us, if you get on the phone with one of our many people we have that will jump on a Zoom call with you and set you up, you'll stick like glue. Not because the product isn't always great, it's because the journey from product interest to product adoption is almost always something that's really done person to person. I think most people think software is just kind of self-serve, and you certainly can try to do that, but it's always easier if you have an individual help you. So for us, it's always an adoption question. If we get the adoption, we'll keep that customer for life. If we don't get the adoption, they're going to leave.
Yeah, and towards your point, I'm sure our viewers are going to be very eager to learn from your experience. What are some of the key strategies that have worked for high level when it comes to retaining these clients and building out that long-term relationship?
Yeah, sure. So I think first of all, so a couple of things. So one of the biggest things, so we work with agencies, right? And so what we see all the time is there's this mismatch between the product the agency sells at the price they want to sell it and the product that the customer wants to buy and the price they want to pay. So agencies come in and they provide these awesome sort of bespoke services, and they're thousands of dollars a month, and they're really great and they're awesome and amazing, but it doesn't really matter because the person they're selling to really doesn't want or can't imagine paying the kind of money that they want to charge. And it's this psychological mismatch. It's kind of funny because it's not like the product isn't great. The product's amazing. It's just that the buyer doesn't want that amazing of a product because they're not willing to pay the price. So the thing that we found, right, is instead of selling services, you ought to be selling software. And the reason why is simple. The services are $3,000 a month. The software is $300 a month. And you go from being a high churn, heavy lift, not scalable business to a very low churn, high scale business where you're not creating bespoke stuff over and over and over and over again. And here's the great news about it. The original goal of all of the people we meet, and this is why I love them to death, is they want to help that business succeed and thrive and grow. And the reality is by doing something that is very software based, they can create incredible ROI off a $300 a month recurring charge. And in many cases, honestly, because they get cut short on their $3,000 custom bespoke work all the time, the end ROI is actually greater on the 300 than it'd ever be on the $3,000 because they keep that customer for 10 years and instead of for 10 minutes or 2 months or 3 months or whatever we generally used to see on the services side. So really for us, it's about making sure your product and your pricing and your scale mix is correct. That's how you're going to crack the code as an agency to really scale your business.
Yeah, so actually you end up making more as a result of that.
Way more. And it's a radically different business. So, if you've been in the agency business for 5 minutes, you'll know that like, good luck with your weekends, haha, vacation, that's funny. Like you're just constantly going to get beat up by your clients because you've created a business where they've created a reliance on you, almost like an employee relationship, right? And so anytime they want to tweak or a change or whatever, first of all, they don't want to pay for it. And second, they demand that you do it. And I don't care if it's Saturday night at, at 10 o'clock or something, you're trying to go to bed. Too bad, so sad. I want my WordPress website updated. Like that's a crappy, hard business. Versus if you have something that is software-based, where the software is doing the work, it's scaling, and it's a boxed product, right? You're not creating these custom things. You're really creating this hybrid between a tool and a bespoke service. So it's like services that scale. So it's like, yes, we have this tool that does all the work. Yes, I put work into the tool to get it up and going for you, or on occasion to do some tweaks. But at 10 o'clock on a Saturday night, it's the tool doing the work, not me doing the work. And so it's a radically different business. And you can actually go on vacation and you can scale your business. And every month you have recurring revenue coming in that just continues to build because you have this incredibly low churn rate. Because now instead of being the $3,000, oh my God, what are we paying that person for bill? I just saw a new Mercedes down at the lot. And if I can fire this person, I can buy that Mercedes. Right? You're now a utility bill. You're like, oh, yeah, that's about what we pay for the phone system or for the alarm company or for the internet connection. Yeah, of course, moving on. What else can we cut? It's a radically different change to your business.
Yeah, yeah. So it's almost like with the software, it's helping you out 24/7 instead of sort of burdening you down 24/7 every day.
Exactly. And if they need to make that change, they can log in and make that change on their own because they have access to the tool and they don't have to call you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because the software, it's up. It doesn't matter who's sleeping, who's not. It doesn't care. It's just always
Yep, exactly. And if they're up at crazy hours or on the weird time zone that you're not, well, good for them. Go crazy, guy. But you don't have to be there in order to help them.
Right, right. Now, as part of that, though, setting realistic expectations with clients is often seen as like a real key factor in client retention. So can you speak maybe us a little bit towards that, and how can you ensure that the clients have a clear understanding of what to expect?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that's all in your product proposition, right? So what you need to do is you need to talk about what outcomes. So the biggest problem we find is that people will try to sell features and not outcomes. So the features create the outcomes, but do not talk to your clients about features, because you're sort of like, you're just setting yourself up for a failure, right? So you're trying to debate, you're like sort of having a debate all of a sudden with someone who's not qualified to have it. It's sort of like saying, hey, let's talk about the best way to do heart surgery right now. Neither of us have a clue what we're talking about. So it's really a moot point, right? So instead of going at it from that direction, you just say, listen, let's talk about what this is going to do for you as a business owner, which is, by the way, what they care about, right? So it's like, hey, we're going to get you more leads. We're going to get you more customers. We're going to get you more 5-star Google reviews. We're going to move your ranking up on Google My Business. Like, these are the outcomes that we're going to give you, right? And the idea is that tool goes towards those outcomes. And when you're talking to your client, you're always just talking about those outcomes. So that way you're not getting into these weird situations where they're trying to compare you with other tools they've heard about or any of those things. You're literally just saying, listen, this is what I do. This is how I'm going to measure it. This is how you're going to know if I'm successful for you. And that's all we're going to talk about here. And that's where the expectations start and stop. So that way you don't have to go weeding off into these other directions. And if they try to pull you there, you can just say, no, like, I get you more customers. That's kind of what I do. Do you want more customers? Because if you want like a super fancy website that's not going to get you more customers, you can go buy that from someone else. But I'm just going to get you more customers. What would you prefer? And most business owners are like, actually, I just want more customers. I'm going to go back to be a dentist or a lawyer or a doctor or whatever, and do the thing I do because I know you're getting me more customers. Like, I think that's where you want to keep that conversation.
Yeah. So basically, you want to try to focus more so on what kind of results you're able to provide them. Not try to go into some kind of feature comparison war, because then it's really hard to get out of that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right. And I mean, obviously, it's also a matter of how to be able, how you're able to communicate that with them. Communications is also another essential factor of client retention, of course. What kind of role would you say that communication plays in your approach to client relations?
I mean, communication is everything, right? Because if you're not talking to me about what you're doing, I just assume you're doing nothing. And so as a result, I mean, it's the kind of thing where when you are present in your business, be very visually present. So be on Zoom calls. And if you have a lot of customers, you can go one to many. If you don't have a lot of customers yet, do one to one, right? The closer you can get to your customer, the better. If you're serving a local customer base, even better, because people love people who can show up, especially local businesses, because they operate local, they are local, they buy local, they serve local. So they kind of want you to be local if at all possible. So if you could show up in their location, or if you have a lot of customers in an area, go and like rent a room someplace. You can do this very cheaply, invite people, buy coffee, that kind of thing. People love that stuff. So when you choose to communicate, be as visual as possible, be as tactile as possible. This is one of the big tricks that we've learned, which is that you could do like half as good a job, but be local, and retain your clients way longer than actually be twice as good and be remote. Because honestly, people create trust relationships more around who they know locally, who they've met locally. Those things create a lot more trust. And it's that trust that creates the retention, not the expertise. Because the expertise, quite frankly, doesn't translate, because at the end of the day, remember, you may know you're an expert, but they have no way to judge that. And you can sort of think about this in your own life. Like when you hire a plumber to come into your house and fix something, right? You don't really know their expertise around fixing it. You just know, like, did the pipe stop leaking? Well, there's probably a lot of ways to make the pipe stop leaking, I imagine. I have no idea. But that's the whole point. You as a consumer just are not situated to really truly judge it. You're more likely to hire the plumber who calls you back the fastest, who gets you the quote the quickest, who can get in and fix the pipe the fastest, right? Like those are the things you're going to use to judge who you pay and who you hire, not their true expertise, right? So you have to really think about those humanistic characteristics that create that trust, and they have nothing to do with expertise.
Yeah, I mean, that totally makes sense. I mean, it's just kind of like, would you ask a plumber in New York for advice if you're in Los Angeles? Probably not,
Right.
Even though they're both plumbers.
Total.
And yeah, I mean, I think the same goes for marketing, is that, people want to deal with people that understand the environments they're in and all the different variables that are involved with that.
Totally.
Yeah. Now, how do you, one thing about that is, how do you go about measuring that client satisfaction? Is there a way to gauge that success
Sure.
as far as retention
Yeah.
efforts?
Yeah. I mean, it's just churn. You want to look, you want to focus on, out of 100 clients every month, how many of those people leave you, right? Every, that's a very, important number, and you want to minimize that number absolutely as low as possible. It's really quite that simple.
Yeah. But how do you actually get down to measuring that satisfaction though? Is there, I mean, yes, you can keep track of the number of people that are leaving, certainly, but is there also more to that? Like, let's say if you're trying to improve your service offerings, and you're trying to maybe get some feedback or help on that, what kind of suggestions would you have?
I mean, you should be talking to your customers all the time. I mean, anybody who walks out the door, you should be like, what the heck is wrong with you? Where are you going and why? Like, are you nuts? Did you see how great of a job I'm doing? Look at all these customers coming through the door. Look at all the money that's coming through the door. How do you not see this? How is this equation not making sense to you? Like, it literally is a very person to person, customer to customer type of conversation. Because again, with this, the way we see the world, being a SaaSpreneur, selling a $300 a month software-based product, creating these outcomes, the ROI is insane for your customers. So yeah, can you do services on top of that? Absolutely, you can do SEO and PPC and everything else till the cows come home. But that core offering is just crazy for them to say no. And it's very easy to prove ROI there. So if for whatever reason they disagree with that, you should be talking to them quite personally. And obviously you don't want to do this on the back end. As when someone says I'm leaving you, it's a lot harder to be like, no, don't worry, I'm going to change, I'm going to get better. Like, you don't want that. You really ought to have this communication all the way throughout and really be talking to them, because you want to see those roadblocks and those sort of bumps in the road ahead of time. But it is truly like person to person, because the problem is you try to do anything at scale, like you put a form out, like, why are you unhappy? People just pick a radio button to get it the heck out the way. They're not really truly going to sit there and give you a lot of feedback. And you're not going to have the opportunity to ask a lot of questions, because really, truly, even if you know what the gripe is, like, how did you get there? And that's funny, because I would have thought you would have seen this report that I send you every week that shows you all the money at, it's like, you can really understand where the breakdowns are and very quickly figure out how to solve those.
Yeah, precisely. And I think, part of that kind of also goes back to that, having that really good customer service, being as part of that client retention drive, kind of driving the process. How do you prioritize customer service? How do you do that?
Number one. It is absolutely our biggest team in the whole company is, I'm an engineer. I love engineering. I love products. I love features. We need those. But here's how I always think about it. I always tell people, listen, the greatest features on planet Earth are irrelevant if no one bothers to ever know they're there, right? And truly the way to get people through. And we have so much customer service. We have like 4 different teams of customer service. We have, we have we have a team that answers people's questions before they sign up for a trial. Then we have a trial team that only focuses on you when you're in the trial. And then we have a team that focuses you on the first 90 days. And then we have a support team after that. So we have all kinds of customer service, because I know it's so critical, because it's always, and the way I think you should think about this in your own business is, there's no way in the world that anyone should ever quit me. So the only thing that's keeping that person from quitting is really the customer service aspect, because the product is good. You're doing a great job for them. The only reason they're going to leave is because they don't understand the value proposition you're delivering. And you can supplement that, right? Like, you should have lots of information. Like, we have a report that you can queue up that sends out every week that shows people all of the stuff you're doing for them. And that's an awesome sort of supplement. But from a customer support perspective, it's early and often. So the second they sign up, you're on them, you're on a call with them, you're just meeting them, you're saying, hey, what do you do? Here's how I get you set up. Let me show you how this will create great outcomes for you. And then you're just constantly there on a regular basis in a scalable way. So if they need help, boom, they can get help. And that help is, as much as you can connect with them visually and personally, you're going to win.
Yeah. And I'm a real believer of that, just having the best possible customer experience that you can. What kind of impact have you seen it have on retaining clients? Like, have you gotten any kind of direct or indirect feedback from that?
Well, yeah, we watch KPIs like a hawk. So, we absolutely know. I know that if you talk to our onboarding team, that the likelihood of converting from trial to paid doubles right? In fact, I think it almost triples. And then once you convert, the likelihood of churning, if you talk to my 90-day team, cuts it in half. So, I mean, huge, insane amounts of ROI by doing these. So yeah, absolutely. We watch those KPIs like you wouldn't believe. Otherwise, if the math didn't work out, I wouldn't have any of those teams at all. I'd be like, oh, it's all self-service. It's magic. People read the help docs and figure it out all on their own. Yeah, right. That's never going to happen because people don't want to read. They don't have time to read. They want you to help them out. And that is the key ingredient, because most of us have had that experience in life where we got confused or frustrated with a particular product or service, couldn't get it to work. And the difference between whether we had a great outcome there or not is honestly whether a person came in and helped us with it or not is almost always the case. Otherwise, we think of it as, oh, that didn't work, or that thing is junk or whatever. But in reality, it's probably that we just didn't figure it out in time for us to really get on with what we were trying to do with it. And truly in great situations like that, where we have great outcomes, there's a person that came in and said, hey, hold on, let me show you what you're doing wrong here.
Yeah. I mean, that is so true. I mean, how many times do we buy something and, look at the instruction manual from front to back? I mean, that just doesn't happen.
No, we don't have time for that, right? So, we need people to come in, and this is a great, I think this is a great, thing about technology. We sort of think it just so easy to use and simple and so forth and so on, but it's just a tool like any other. It's a hammer, it's a saw. If you don't know how to use a hammer to build a house, and you really want to build a house and that's what you want to be great at, you're probably going to need someone to show you how to use that hammer. It's not just going to do it for you.
Right, exactly. And speaking towards that point, I mean, having watched some TikTok videos on how to use hammers, it's actually more than it looks.
There you go, right? It's more complicated than you think, and that thing's been around forever. So
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So true. Every client, they're always going to have their unique views and have their unique needs and expectations.
Sure.
How do you tailor your services and approach to meet these different needs and different clients?
Well, I mean, I think the reality is it's trying to find the things that unify them, because you can't make everything custom. This is where agencies go wrong. This is like the land of misery. You need to focus on the thing that unifies all small business. And let me give you a hot tip. Here's what it is. Everybody wants more customers. Go to any client today. Do you want more customers? Then if they say no, you run the other direction. They're not the people for you. But everyone's going to say yes because everybody wants more customers. And you say, great. Well, that's what I'm going to deliver to you. And that's where you want to keep the conversation always. Because if they're like, well, but I heard of this thing on the internet and I read this thing and I watched this TikTok video and they said you could do this, but you just stay away from all that. Because again, you need to see yourself as the expert, right? You deliver results. That's what you do. You know how to do that. And if you think about every other industry we're talking about here, certainly you will ask questions to diagnose that specific person and which tools you want to bring to the table. So you should ask those questions. And I suppose that is your tailoring, but be really cautious how far out you go on that, because it's about you trying to figure out what tools from your toolbox to use to help them achieve the outcome. That's where you want to stay. The second they start moving off into some specific item, that becomes custom work. And you just want to stay away from custom work because it doesn't scale. And in everything we do, think about this in the products that you buy. How often you get to go in the car dealership and say, well, I kind of like that color, but I think I would like to turn the shade down, or I'd create the custom thing. Could you add this other, I like those wheels, but could you add another wheel to it? I want 6 wheels instead of 4. Like, you just don't get those options. Right. And yet you're quite happy with the vehicle you drive. And that's the point. The point is it still got you from A to B. You still look sporty and cool in it, or whatever thing is important to you. And the same thing goes here. It's at the end of the day, by selling the ROI positive result, that's what really will make your client happy. And they may have lots of opinions on it, but quite honestly, they're probably really great at what they do, but they're not really great at what you do. And you need to make sure you create that same kind of hold that expertise line.
Yeah. I mean, because, at the end of the day, the color of the vehicle is only going to matter so much to so many people. And, most of the people, they just want to get from A to B in a vehicle that's comfortable for them.
Oh, but even if they don't, like, the green it comes in is the green it comes in. So, live with it. And we all do. And we're still fine. We're still quite happy. Even if we complain about it initially, like, oh, I don't like that green. Well, fine. But, at the end of the day, if you're going to buy that car and you're going to buy green and that's the rough color you want, well, that's the green you're going to get. And quite frankly, I think 5 minutes later, you get over it and you move on, you realize it was unimportant. But at the end of the day, you got more the utility of what it is that you were looking to get. And the same thing here. I think that you can deliver to your customer the things that matter most to them. in the way that you know they need it, without veering off into this lane of, oh yeah, hold on, let me do all this custom work for you. Don't do that. Stop doing that. That's why you're not scaling. That's why you're not making more money. That's why you're losing clients, because you're spending way too much time on the things that don't matter, that perceptionally feel like they matter to the client, but quite frankly don't. And less time on the things that do matter, which is spending time with them, talking to them about their business, selling new clients, staying on the sales approach. These are the things that help you scale, not the, hey, I'm going to go create a custom website for you that, quite frankly, isn't going to do any better and may do worse than the 50 templates I have over here for your industry.
Yeah, and that leads me to my next point, is on automation. So from what we've seen, automation is a really powerful tool for businesses, and HighLevel is known for its automation capabilities. How does automation provided by your company, how does it improve client satisfaction and retention?
Sure. I mean, the problem today is the same problem as we've seen since the inception, which is lots of customers. So if you ask the average customer, like, hey, do you need more leads? They'll be like, oh yeah, I really need more leads. But then to be like, okay, great. So when a lead does come in, you follow up with them in under 5 minutes, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right? Oh, no, you don't? Well, guess what? You don't need more leads. What you need to do is you need to actually nurture your leads, and you need to use automation to do it, because it's very simple. Again, we can all understand. Have you ever called somebody and they didn't pick up the phone and you were trying to buy their services? Well, of course. Have you ever filled out a lead form and never heard back, or heard back days later? Of course. Well, guess what? That is unacceptable. That's how you die as a business, and how you convert none of these leads. And by the way, from an agency perspective, this is that age-old issue of, well, I ran this amazing Facebook ads campaign and I generated hundreds of leads, and then I got fired for it. Why? It's because none of those people walked through the door. Why? Because they were never nurtured. And this is where the automation just crushes it. So when a lead comes in, we're automatically texting them out. Hey, how's it going? I saw you just registered for the free teeth cleaning. In order to get that, we've got to get you booked on an appointment. Is now a good time to get you booked? And that person's like, sure, that'd be great. Because of course I just filled out the silly form. I know exactly what you're talking about. And then sure, that's great. Is it yes? Right. So we use machine learning and AI to know that that's a yes. And they're like, great. What time would you like to come in? Oh, I'd like to come in the afternoon. And boom, 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 boom. You go back, you negotiate the time, they get a booked appointment, and they're literally on the calendar of the dentist. And that is success. That is what everyone wants. Every client wants. And if you do that one thing, just the lead nurturing piece, which is built in, you'll never have to run an ad campaign again, because the vast majority of these small businesses, from referrals to their website, to GMB chat, to all these sort of inbound channels, missed call text back, missed call text back, that one feature right there, somebody calls in, they don't pick up, it texts them back, it books the appointment, that one feature right there, that's $100 million business for somebody, because every small business misses phone calls constantly, and that's how you solve for that. So these are the simple automations that if you put in place for your clients, they'll never cancel, because they all want those leads to turn into customers, and that's what you're doing.
Yeah, and that's such a misunderstood concept, the concept of nurturing. So many businesses think that, just kind of running a Facebook ad and then, getting that lead, and then that's it. They're supposed to somehow turn into a customer right then.
That's right. The magic customer machine.
Yeah.
I fill out your lead ad, and then I call you, and then I throw my credit card at you. Yeah, right. No thanks. Like, you better be talking to me.
Yeah, and speaking towards HighLevel's offerings, could you highlight maybe some specific tool or feature, kind of similar to maybe the one that you mentioned within the HighLevel platform?
Sure. I mean, that's just all built. I mean, that's in our workflow builder. We have those easy automations right there. The missed call text back is actually just built in. It's like a checkbox that you check to turn that on. When you integrate with Google My Business through us, it automatically enables Google My Business chat. It automatically swaps the phone number. So it takes the primary and moves it to the secondary and throws a new number in for the primary. So you don't lose the Google My Business ranking from an SEO perspective, but you pick up the missed call text back. And also you can instantaneously start telling your client something super useful, like, here's how many people are actually calling you from Google. Look at that. You never knew that before. Google will tell you how many people click the call button, but not how many real phone calls you get, which is always dramatically higher, because I don't click the stupid call button. I just hit the phone number.
Yeah, because that's just a lot more direct that way.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. And I mean, along those lines, I believe you have like a CRM functionality as well.
Oh
Um,
yeah, we have the biggest system you've ever seen. Funnels and CRMs and two-way email and two-way text and Facebook Messenger and Instagram and chat with bots and workflow builder and email marketing and da 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 da, everything you can imagine for a small business to run.
yeah, and I mean, with a CRM system, with that particular functionality, how do you leverage that to manage and nurture client relationships?
Well, it's like any CRM that you've ever seen, right? But a CRM is just a database. It's not, that's definitely the manual part of it. It gives a great opportunity to do things like, for example, reactivations are really super cool, right? So, hey, I have a list of all my clients here. I can see the last time that that person purchased from me or visited my location. Okay, I want to look at everybody who hasn't done that in the last 6 months. I'm going to create an offer for them and blast out a text and say, hey, we got 50% off. Come on in today or whatever it is. That is really easy in the CRM because you can do these big bulk actions, or you can do that via email. You send out coupons to people, that kind of thing. But I really love the workflow builder in combination with that because the workflow creates automations, right? So you could set up rules and say, well, automatically, if you get to 6 months and I haven't seen yet, then boop, pop into here and send out the coupon. So then you're not having to remember, oh, every 6 months I need to go in and find it's like, forget it, automate that. And you'll just keep the business machine rolling over and you'll know you're touching all these different people specific to where they're at in their journey. So you're going to get a lot higher conversion rates.
Yeah, because I mean, to your point, a CRM system, there's so many CRM systems out there. It's a pretty common piece, but it's really in combination with the workflow builder with that particular part that then it turns into something a lot more useful.
It's the automations that really win the day because they're the things that do the stuff that we should be doing as humans, but we're so busy that we can't remember and we're not consistent. The automations are always consistent, right? And again, honestly, they're just it's funny. They just save a truckload of time. So then even if you were super amazing and you remember to do this every day, at some point it takes physical action to do. You might as well let the automations do the work for you.
Yeah, precisely. And that's some great insight into how to use, the CRM system. We're going to continue and just go through a few more questions about client retention. So obviously, if you're able to demonstrate value and ROI to clients, that's going to be really essential in order to build that trust and loyalty. How does HighLevel demonstrate this value and ROI to clients?
Well, from our perspective, we're a little different, right? We sell a tool. So when you have every tool that you can name in one spot for, starting at $97 a month, good luck finding someone who can beat that. But I would say that what we really try to do more than anything, though, is we don't stop there. So we say, hey, listen, yeah, we have all the same tools. In fact, we have more than everybody else at that price. But we also have a bunch of ways to help you actually make money selling it. So for us, it's the business model. It's saying, listen, you need to take these tools and you need to white label them because we don't want you selling our tool. We want you selling your tool. So you can white label the product and you can resell it and you can create a whole business around this to your existing clients, or if you've never started a business before, we'll teach you how to do it, really giving you an entire business built on top of HighLevel instead of just giving you a tool.
Yeah, and that's really something really unique. I mean, you're not only offering sort of the Swiss Army knife of marketing, but it's actually can be completely white labeled, and one can offer that as if that's their service. And I've actually seen that a few times already now.
Oh yeah, it's the future. I think we are starting a revolution that will eventually someday become commonplace. But the reality is that it's my true belief, and it has been for a very long time, that marketing agencies really define success for their clients. And the best way to help them do that is allow them to show up to the party with both their services and their product. And really that is a white label version of our platform, because what we want the clients to understand is the agency is the source of truth, the source of ROI, the source of value. But if you're selling somebody else's product, I've seen this all the time, XYZ CRM, the agency brings it in and the client buys it and the agency kills themselves to make it work. And now it's flying along and the client says, oh, I think it must just be the CRM doing all the work. You're fired, Mr. or Mrs. Agency. I'm going to keep the CRM because you know why? It's cheaper actually. So bye. Thanks for all the hard work. But and then all of a sudden, the big secret comes out, which is, oh wait, it wasn't. So the CRM starts to break down and it's not working anymore. And they're like, I don't get it. What's going on? But the reality is at that point they've already made that big decision to fire their agency, and now it's a big ego problem, right? I can't call that person up and say I was wrong. Oh my God, no. I'll just hire someone new. It's just a fiasco. And so as a result, if we show up to the party with the product being under the agency's name from the get, they can still drop the services and make that mistake, but they haven't fired the agency because they still have the product. So really that has changed the game for so many agencies. It's eliminated churn for those agencies. It's given them another product, another revenue stream that scales so beautifully. I mean, it's just such an easy answer if you truly want to make a lot of money.
Yeah, and another thing is that once say, for example, these OEMs, they do have the clients, I mean, upselling or cross-selling services is going to be another important factor as well. How do you approach that, to existing clients? What is sort of the strategy behind how to deal with it?
It depends on, yeah. So like existing clients, it's more like, hey, listen, you're going to buy this stuff anyways, and you probably already have something like this, but you probably don't even use half the features, right? Yeah. Oh man, isn't it? And don't you pay a lot of money? Oh yeah, God, it's so expensive. Well, what about this? What if instead we'll replace that for significantly less money? And you know what's great? I'll also help you set it up. I have all kinds of pre-done templates and workflows and automations and email stuff and on and on and on that we can just plug in, hit play on, and we'll go. Do you think that would be useful to you? I mean, who's going to say no to that? Right? Just that simple. That's an existing client play. And the new clients, it's, hey, you know what? You know, all those other agencies you talk to, they want to charge you like $3,000 a month. You know, we actually do all that same stuff for $300 a month.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, really? Oh yeah, absolutely. Here, social media, you post to social media like you should once a week? Well, no, because, we're busy. Well, you know what's great? We have like hundreds of templates ready to go. We'll just hit play on that and you'll post every week automatically and they're beautiful. Oh, cool. Wow. What about funnels? What about websites? What about automations? Oh, we should. Yeah, we've heard about. Okay, great. Well, we already have that stuff pre-canned for your industry. We're ready to rock. All that's going to happen is we're going to turn it on and you're going to get new customers on day one. That's how we kind of get this started. Are you interested in getting new customers right away? I mean, come on.
Yeah. I mean, who's going to say no?
And if people are like super skeptical, oh no, there's lots of kick the door down strategies, right? It's like, well, how about this? You know what? I'll tell you, let's just get you, what if I just said for free, I'll just get you more like 50 new 5-star reviews on Google. How's that sound? I'll just approve it. You don't know me. I get it. That's fair. I will do this for free for you, just to prove to you that I know what I'm doing. And I was like, oh yeah, I love that. Well, great, cool. Give me the list of people that have walked in the door in the last 6 months. And then I'm going to do a text blast campaign to them and say, hey, we're getting our Google My Business page all ready to rock. And would you be willing to leave us a review? And it's amazing. The people who don't like you, they don't leave reviews, or they've already left you a bad review because they were that upset with you. So don't worry about those people. And the people that you hit up who do leave a review, they're always going to leave a great review. And so boom, you've just given this business owner amazing results for pennies. And now they're like, wow, this person really can deliver. And bam, you just picked yourself up a new customer for life.
Yeah. And towards your point, now once somebody does acquire a new client, the onboarding process is obviously going to be really crucial in their journey. How do you onboard new clients? I mean, I guess, is there a way to ensure a long-term
one-to-one? We get on a Zoom call with you and say, hey, welcome to HighLevel. Let's get you onboarded right now. And that's what you should do as well.
But I guess, is there a way to ensure that long-term success through the platform or through the services?
Sure. I mean, the one small business we still serve is an HVAC company. When I met him, he had 12 reviews on Google, and he did an amazing job at my house. I was so blown away. And I asked him why I didn't have more reviews. And he said, I don't know how to get more reviews. I said, I have a piece of software that'll help you with that. He said, how much? I said, $300 a month. He said, sold. And that was 6 years ago. And he never calls me, but he has 500 reviews on Google now. And he's the top ranked HVAC guy in my locale. And now he has 13 trucks and he doesn't do HVAC jobs anymore. Boom. There you go. Done. There's some value.
Yeah. And
that's what you need to do for your client. You need to create that motion. And then, we have reporting in the app also. So every week you can say, hey, look at all the killer stuff we're doing. Look at all the appointments we got you. Look at all the reviews we got you. Look at all the opportunities we got you. Look at all the leads that came in, right? Look at all the conversations that you're having, all nicely in a report. And, again, you have to figure out who you are. When you're first getting started, you should have weekly meetings with your clients if they're willing to do it. Get on a one-to-one call. Let's review that report together, right?
Yeah.
Let me show you some of the things that we're working on. And then you also have more plans. So you have, small, medium, and large. So you're bringing people in small, and you need to upsell them, right? She says, well, here's all the great stuff we're doing, but guess what? If you move to the next plan, here's some more stuff that we could be doing, right? And you're moving people up. And you do that really sort of rhythmically as a one-to-one motion when you're small. And then someday when you have 100 local businesses paying you $300 a month, you're doing more of a weekly webinar. You're doing more of a weekly, you could do a monthly, or quarterly physical meeting as well, right? But you're creating these, and you have a Facebook group that you have all these people in, or we're actually launching communities this quarter. So you'll have your own private community where they're all in there, and you're creating this motion where you're constantly communicating in all kinds of different ways. And that's creating that retention. Because yes, you're delivering the real value. You're delivering reviews and sales and leads and everything else. But as importantly, you're creating an environment where they feel like you're connecting to them, and you're always engaged, and you're always available, and you're not just ghosting them. That creates retention.
Yeah, and that's a really good point that you brought up. And another factor is that unless you're the sole business handler, your team is also going to play a really crucial role in delivering the right service and retaining clients for you. So how do you do that? How do you ensure that your team members are well equipped to meet the needs of your clients?
Well, lots of training, I suppose. We have, every team member that comes in, we, depending on where they are going to sit in our organization, we have a set training for each of those people that just focuses on what the job is, what the job is, what's important about it. For us, there's lots of SOPs and all this other stuff, but for us, it's culture. So a big part of our culture is like, hey, do what's right for the customer. We're customer focused, really focus and think about whatever you're doing. And we do this all the way through product, and we do this through engineering. It's really about, first of all, putting everybody on the front lines with customers. Everybody talks to customers. Engineers talk to customers. And then from there, when you're making a decision, it's like, well, who's this going to impact the most? And if you're going to inconvenience someone, make sure you're inconveniencing yourself, not the customer. And as long as we teach that culture, that to me is how we really continue to keep the company customer focused and do a great job, where we're always trying to take the hit for the customer so that they don't have to take the hit for us.
Yeah, and that is so true. And with any kind of business endeavor, there's also going to be challenges and potential missteps with that as well. What would you say are maybe some common mistakes or pitfalls to avoid when it comes to client retention?
Don't underhire, don't get behind on your customer service hiring. That's my big piece of advice. It's incredibly difficult to hire great people. It takes a long time to scale up those types of machines or to find those people. And so a lot of times what you'll try to do is you'll try to time the customer service hiring with the customer acquisition. Try to actually hire ahead, because it's going to take you longer than you think to get the actual great people that you need on your team. Yeah. But it's going to take you less time than you think to actually make sales. And you really want to live in a world where you'll get really good at the sales piece. And as the customers are flowing in, you want to have customer service already in place. And that may require a little bit more of an upfront investment, but it's still worth it. So that way, because the problem is if you're really killing it on sales, but people are just draining out the bucket on the other side because they're unhappy with the experience, you're just wasting your time. So start with great customer service in mind, start there first, be good at that first, and then really focus on sales, because honestly, you need to have great customer service if you truly want to retain people for the long term.
Yeah, and those are some really great points. Lastly, as we wrap up our conversation, can you share any words of wisdom or key takeaways for our viewers, especially for those who are looking to improve client retention in their own businesses?
Yeah, be more present and be more engaged. Be willing to get on more visual calls like this, or do more in-person events. The closer you can get to your clients, the more that they're going to know you. And excuse me. And I think most of the retention issues of the world are because the sort of interaction feels impersonal, and disengaged and disingenuous, and it feels like you're at a machine. And nobody wants to feel that way. Nobody wants to feel like they're talking to a robot, or they're unimportant, or they're just a number. So any way you can keep yourself close to your customers, and not just you, but also any of your team members as well. I mean, this is super important. Like, we run all of our setups and all of our teams on Zoom rooms with our customers, which takes an inordinate amount more time than if we just did chats only and tickets only and sort of kept people at a distance and impersonal. But we put our people on Zoom. We put cameras on. You're going to get to know these people. You're going to know their names. They're going to be speaking to you just like I'm talking to you right now, all around your issues and your problems. And it's that personal touch feeling that I think really makes or breaks that long-term outcome.
Great, that's really great. Shaun, thank you so much for sharing your insights and expertise with us today.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure having you on. I'm sure our viewers have gained a lot of valuable knowledge out of this.
Awesome. That's great. Well, thank you very much for having me. It was great to be here.
Yeah, and to our viewers, thank you for joining us on the Agency Growth Initiative. If you want to learn more about HighLevel, there's a link down below the video. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Until next time, I'm Jim Liu. Take care.